coming directly to you through the power of the internet. Sorry for not uploading regularly. I will talk about that very shortly. But the recent news, the recent rumor being spread around by Eurogamer is that the Nintendo NX is a portable system, looks similar to this, and that the sides disconnect into controllers that you can play when it's docked to a docking station and you're playing to the TV. Or you can connect the sides back on and you could play off the screen. And that it is rumored to be just a little under the power of the PS4 and the Xbox One, and right in that area, and that it's going to be cartridge, and then it's going to be a Tegra 2 chip inside of it. And then it's rumored that Nvidia gave Nintendo a sweet deal on the chips because Microsoft and Sony pretty much went with ATI this generation. And here's the running point on that. That is the basic information. We will hear more about the NX in September, and that's about it in the quick, short gist. Now, as for me, I do enjoy the idea of something like this. The fact that the idea is that the controllers come off is going to add cost to it because they're going to have to add batteries to those controller grips. And you know what? It's probably just better off that they don't even bother and just make the system one whole thing. If they were one whole controller like this, and say screw it, and put a better battery in it. Now the problem with that is this is not exactly a portable video game system anymore when it's about this size. Yes, people carry around tablets. I don't want to carry around a tablet. I'm not a woman. I don't carry around a purse. So, there. Although this would still be okay for like trips and stuff like that. And recently, I went up to the 25th of July. This past 25th of July, I went to Noah's Ark up in Wisconsin Dells and had a fun day there. And after the hot weeks and the lack of air conditioning and the complete lack of air circulation in my place, in my current place, it was wonderful. I do suggest it's an awesome water park. I suggest not walking around barefoot. You are okay in the eastern half of it, the back end of it, mostly where the kiddie pools are and the lazy rivers and the wave pools are. You're okay in that area. If you try to go to the west side, there's a lot more blacktop and concrete, and at that point, you're gonna get yourself some blisters. And I had 2 of them on my feet. So, awesome place. I suggest you eat before you go there, and you eat after you leave there, but don't eat there because the food is expensive as heck. I wandered off subject. I do that all the time. My personal thoughts about, as I said, this disconnecting controllers and the whole thing. I say keep it solid. That make the whole thing better. And I've also heard people talk about wanting the touch screen to be a newer technology, not capacitive, but the other one I can't remember. Personally, capacitive is fine with me because it's fine with styluses. I like styluses. I like to tap it with my fingertip. Here's a tip. I can't quite do it because it drives me insane because I work in metals and I can't have long like fingertip drives me nuts with that. But if you have like a long fingernail, you could still use that as a stylus. And that is one of the things about it. I put this to the docking station, take off the controller sides, and you have a home console at home. You have a portable gaming system console. When you go, you can set it up somewhere and take it off and play it like that. You can set it down and just play it as a complete tablet, and that is neat. And that is definitely kind of a third pillar thing. I do not see it supplanting a 3DS line of consoles or true handheld consoles or even smartphones. Sorry about walking out of frame. There's going to be a cameo with little PS Vita. It's still a fun system. I don't hardly play it that much, but I need to get new games for it. And my 3DS, which is perpetually, whenever I put it into sleep mode, is almost always on Pokemon Shuffle. I'm training fairies right now for fighting dragons. I just like to level up even. But there. I'm not quite sure about the exact size of the tablet system. It's hard to imagine them packing a lot of processing power into it, but I know of and I've heard of people saying that the NVIDIA Shield systems are actually quite powerful, but not substantially powerful. They kind of run most higher end games poorly, and most mid end games all right, and that is something that Nintendo really can't do. And the recent report is that due to the flagging sales of the Nintendo Wii U, Nintendo's stock value is falling and their money reserves are actually shrinking. So that is a bit on the disturbing side. Now, one of the observations that was made by other places is that Nintendo, this is a known fact, that Nintendo merged their console hardware and core software division with their handheld hardware software division. And what I mean by software division, I mean the OS, the guys that program the OS and development tools and stuff like that. So they went and merged them and went that direction. And the theory from that is that many people have noted that Nintendo has been kind of struggling to produce enough games for one platform or the other. They either produce a lot of games for the Wii U or produce a lot of games for the 3DS, but they can't quite make games for both systems, and that them potentially actually merging their two ends together and potentially making a single system, the Nintendo NX, as a console and a portable handheld gaming system. Portable handheld gaming system. Redundant. A handheld system, both console and handheld system, that they would be able to produce enough games for both for the NX, and they could eventually just phase out the Wii U and then phase out the 3DS, even though the 3DS is older than the Wii U, and so on and so forth. And what I could say to that is Nintendo could, if you're watching, you could make a game, you could make your next set of systems, your handheld system and your next home console system with the same core software or programming architecture, which might be the Nintendo NX or the Nintendo NX family of systems, and you could make a game based on the core architecture structure, and then release it on both platforms, the handheld and the home console. And if you are using a core architecture that is universal to multiple devices, you could just make a game once and then test it on all your platforms that has that core architecture, much like Windows 10 or iOS. And I'm using those two as examples, Windows and iOS, uh, because all PCs run on Windows. So, despite of all the differences in hardware, they still have the same programming language. And they still have the same core structure, x86, and ATX. So they have the same framework. Okay, and in spite of the differences in hardware, the games run on all of them. Okay, so Nintendo could make a core architecture language, hardware, software, and they can make different devices that use that core architecture in them, but it is translated out differently. And that way they could make one game based on the core architecture and release it on 2 different devices, or 3 different devices, or 4 different devices, or 6 different devices, and so on and so forth. Much like Android and various smartphones. Many smartphones are different with features and power and all kinds of things, but they generally run Android of various forms or versions, or iOS, or Windows Mobile. Yeah. Windows Mobile. And that works out. So, do I think this rumor by Eurogamer is credible? Personally, it's a gaming journalism website. It's a major one. And as such, I really don't care about their opinion too much on things. It is no secret that most gaming journalism websites are not that trustworthy. And, hold on a moment. Sorry for the jump cut. I was momentarily interrupted. And, I don't have a checkpoint list here, so I don't know where I exactly left off. But I think I was talking about creating a core architecture for multiple different systems. And a good example would be the Nintendo 3DS family, the Nintendo 3DS, the 2DS, the new 3DS, and soon the new 2DS and the newer 3DS. So, me being a clown there. And personally, I would prefer that. And they may even include like a tablet to play on, but then they could also just make a system that is straight up conventional console, and keep a handheld system similar to the 3DS around. On that note, there's a lot of things, as also been noted by many other people, that the Nintendo home consoles have not been as selling as well as their handheld consoles. So that may also be the reason why Nintendo is sliding more towards the handheld end of the spectrum in its consoles and games, and they are supporting their handhelds more than their consoles, as many people noted. and that is okay. I play both the handhelds and the consoles, and old and new, and it doesn't really bother me too much. Uh, Everyone keeps saying sort of along the line, and I had to turn that down. Uh, I've realized that when my fan is on high, no one can quite make out what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm sorry about that. But as I explained before, the place I currently live in is a hot box, and the electrical system is not quite good enough for an AC unit, so I probably should get one anyways. But anyways, that is my general thoughts. To all those who keep saying Nintendo should go third party, many people at Nintendo have basically stated they would rather go out of business than go third party. So, there, remember that. Uh, well, we should move on. Thank you for watching. Uh, Consider doing multitude of actions, including the this button that's called the subscribe, and likes and shares and playlists. If you get my drift, uh, I will try to share my videos more. Also, if there's a topic you want me to talk about, just put it down in the comments. If you want me to review a video game for the Nintendo Wii U, the 3DS, the PS Vita, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, uh, GameCube, PS2, all that other stuff, feel free to hit me up on that, okay? Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.